Breaking news! The atmosphere is on fire behind the scenes at Patriots Nation. After days of intense speculation, trades, and high expectations, the NFL draft has officially come to an end, and let me tell you, the Patriots showed up big time. Now it's time to believe, dream big, and wear that jersey with pride, because the future looks bright. Before we move on, smash that like button if you believe the Pats have what it takes to make it to the next Super Bowl. Seriously, man, I believe so much. If you're feeling the same energy, drop this in the comments. Go Pats! I believe! What if I told you the New England Patriots might have just quietly pulled off one of their smartest drafts in years? A draft that could, if everything clicks, not just reshape the roster but maybe even fast-track a return to playoff contention? Stick around, because today, we're diving into every single pick, every single move, and by the end, you might be more excited about this 2025 Patriots team than you've been in a long time. The 2025 NFL Draft is officially in the books, and for the Patriots, 3 names absolutely headline the conversation: Will Campbell, Trayvon Henderson, and Kyle Williams. Will Campbell went at number 4 overall, a pick the Patriots absolutely had to make. Was it the right decision? Yes, and not just barely. Campbell earns an A grade, the kind of solid, confident move that sets a franchise's foundation for the next decade. Trayvon Henderson, another A grade. Kyle Williams, a B, but with plenty of upside depending on how his ceiling develops. Then came Jerod Wilson, B-, a pick that left some wondering if there were better options still on the board. But the real intrigue? That came on day 3. Here's where the Patriots made a move that turned heads, trading up to pick number 137 to grab safety Craig Woodson. Now, at first glance, the pick might seem a little curious. Woodson's 24 years old, and you'd think New England would want to get younger in the secondary. But looking closer, 9 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and a scouting report from Tom Downey calling him a fluid athlete with a good feel for developing plays. Even though he sometimes bites on a quarterback's eyes, Woodson is a real competitor at the line of scrimmage and as a backside chaser. B- grade overall, but the potential here is undeniable, especially with veterans like Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers mentoring him. Right after Woodson, another defensive playmaker joined the roster, Joshua Farmer, a defensive tackle who embodies the Patriots' old-school trench warfare style. Farmer declared he wants to bring back the old New England, and honestly, how could you not get fired up hearing that? Farmer comes in with 26 quarterback pressures, 32 total tackles, and a ranking as the number 11 defensive tackle overall per Chat Sports' Tom Downey. B+ grade here. Big upside, gritty mentality, just feels right for Foxborough. And then, the perfect complementary piece, Braden Swinson, edge rusher from LSU, and a guy I'm already excited to watch develop. 8.5 sacks, good length, explosive burst. Swinson only needs more NFL reps to polish his game. An A- grade seals the deal, and paired with Farmer under the guidance of new defensive coordinator Terrell Williams, this could be a 1-2 punch Patriots fans talk about for years. But it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about a sneaky good pickup, Andre Gonzalez, the kicker out of Miami. Maybe not the biggest leg in the draft, but one of the most accurate, and accuracy wins games, period. Gonzalez only missed 1 extra point in his entire college career. Tom Downey from Chat Sports gave him high marks, and while drafting a kicker might feel odd to some, especially when veterans like Maye were available, grabbing arguably the best kicker prospect earned an A- in this draft. A bold move? Maybe. But sometimes fortune favors the bold. Moving into the 7th round, the Patriots stayed disciplined. Marcus Bryant, offensive tackle from Missouri, was next. Good size, solid frame, classic New England depth pick. Whether he cracks the 53-man roster or ends up a valuable practice squad piece, this is the type of player you want competing hard in camp. Then, a pick that had a few people doing a double take, long snapper Julian Ashby. And yes, if you're thinking, wait, what? You're not alone. But hear this out, Ashby wasn't always a long snapper. He grew up playing quarterback, and it wasn't until his freshman year he decided to try his hand at long snapping to earn a scholarship. Fast forward, and now he's a Vanderbilt product heading to New England. Having a long snapper with a quarterback's mind for the game? That could prove to be an unexpected edge. Plus, veteran Joe Cardona isn't getting younger. A forward-thinking move by the Patriots, and a heartwarming story at the same time. Finally, with pick number 257, Mr. Irrelevant, the Patriots selected Kobe Minor, cornerback out of Memphis, the final pick of the entire 2025 NFL Draft. And while late-round corners don't always pan out, depth at cornerback never hurts, and Minor could develop quietly alongside players like Alex Austin and Del Pettis. Keep an eye on him during training camp. Overall draft grade? An A. Yes, You heard that right. An A for the Patriots 2025 draft class. And think about it, New England absolutely crushed free agency, too. Add a stellar draft to an already revamped roster and a soft schedule? How can you not start dreaming about January football again? Sure, you could nitpick a little. Maybe you question the timing of the special teams picks. Maybe you wonder if another wide receiver or running back could have been squeezed in a little earlier. But when you step back and look at the big picture, elite trench reinforcements, a potentially dominant secondary rotation, and clutch additions on special teams, it's hard not to get genuinely excited. So now it's your turn. How would you grade the Patriots 2025 draft? Who was your favorite pick? Will Campbell, Trayvon Henderson, Joshua Farmer? Or maybe you're a believer in the kicker Andre Borgales already? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all, and believe me, this is going to be one of the most important draft classes to shape the Patriots' future. And the more you really think about it, the more you realize this 2025 Patriots draft class wasn't just good, it might have been borderline transformational. Let's dig a little deeper into why that's the case. First, let's talk about Will Campbell again. Going number 4 overall was no small moment. In a draft stacked with talent, the Patriots made a statement, building from the trenches matters. Campbell is not just a guy who checks all the boxes physically, he's the kind of cornerstone offensive lineman you can build an entire unit around. Strong, technically sound, great footwork, and an attitude that screams Patriot football. This wasn't a flashy pick. This was a smart pick. And the fans who love old school, tough, hard-nosed football, this is your guy. Trayvon Henderson was another masterstroke. Getting a safety who brings both hard-hitting physicality and a nose for the football was exactly what the Patriots needed to keep the secondary dynamic and dangerous. With veterans like Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers possibly mentoring him, Henderson has a shot to be a star sooner rather than later. And let's be honest, there's nothing quite like watching a Patriots safety come downhill and blow up a play behind the line of scrimmage. That's the identity New England needed to refresh, and Trayvon Henderson is tailor-made for it. Kyle Williams might not have gotten the same hype, but don't sleep on him either. Sometimes it's the B players on draft day who blossom into A players 2 seasons down the road. Williams brings athletic upside and competitiveness that could make him a sneaky contributor sooner than people realize. Remember, the draft isn't just about immediate returns, it's about building a sustainable contender. Kyle Williams fits that vision. Now, circling back to day 3, because day 3 was where the Patriots showed real front office savvy. Trading up for Craig Woodson raised a few eyebrows, mainly because of his age. But think about it, sometimes maturity in the secondary can be a feature, not a bug. And while Woodson does need to refine some of his instincts, not biting on quarterback eyes so much, his athletic profile and production, 9 pass breakups, 2 picks, suggest he's going to find a home on special teams or as a depth piece almost immediately. Plus, in today's NFL where defensive backs rotate more than ever, a solid safety who can step in without the defense falling apart is worth his weight in gold. Joshua Farmer, though, that's the pick that just feels like classic New England. Big body, big motor, big personality. When he said he wanted to bring back the old New England,